Coach Wayne Tinkle. Coach, your thoughts about tomorrow's game?
Great opportunity for our program. We understand and have learned over the week how good our opponent VCU is. We know it's going to be a heck of a challenge, heck of a game, but we're looking forward to it. Just the team's thrilled to be here, but not happy with just having an invitation. We want to do all we can to give it our best, see if we can advance. But quite a thrill for this program.
Okay, questions for Coach? Got a question on the front, middle.
Kurt Voigt, Associated Press. Coach, I'm just curious, with the relative inexperience, I guess, that you have with this group in the NCAA tournament, what have you tried to impart on them this week with what you've been through and having been to the tournament, maybe things to watch for, things that might surprise them? What have you just tried to teach them?
Well, the big thing was early on, the beginning of the week. We said, okay, the celebration time is over. We have done a really neat thing here in erasing a 26-year drought. But now let's move on and let's get focused to not just making an appearance. And the message we've been sending is that we don't need superhuman performances, that we just need to get back to the solid fundamental things. There's 4 or 5 things, and I'm not going to get into what those are, so please don't ask. But those things to focus on, knowing that it'll get us to play at our best. When we do those, we play at our best. When we get off on our own a little bit, when we don't bring the urgency, we don't perform as well. So we've just tried to reassure to them, we've worked on all the things that make us successful. We're not asking you to do anything above and beyond that. I think the more grounded we can remain and the basic in what we're trying to do out there, I think it'll allow us to perform our best.
We got a question on the aisle, and then we'll come to the front.
Hi, Coach. Janine Edwards, ESPN. Last year, your first season, you had 1 returning starter, 7 walk-ons. Can you give us some specifics of what have contributed to the turnaround in getting you from where the team was then to where you guys are today? Because it's a pretty remarkable turnaround.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We knew at Oregon State they hadn't had success, and we felt as a staff we had to teach them, first of all, what was success and then how to get to it. And it started from our approach to getting out of bed, to going to class, to how we treated everybody on campus, from the people that taught the classes, that counseled, that cooked the meals, cut the grass, that we need to treat them all the right way, carry ourselves the right way, and make them all part of our team. And we felt like by really making our team large, we'd start to create some momentum that way and people supporting us. And then it also, those are the important things to be teaching these kids at their age anyway, but it allowed them to get a little bit more confident each and every day. They didn't have to walk around with their chin on their chest. They could carry themselves high. And I think those things kept the focus from the X and O things that we knew ultimately would win games. But the things we talked about at first were the things that are the most important. If you don't have those, you can't have success consistently on the court. That was the cornerstone or the pillars of our programs at Montana, and being a similar type of demographic in Oregon State, small college town, great university, we knew that it would carry over, and so far it has.
We got a question on the front right.
Paul Woody, Richmond Times-Dispatch. Coach, you've probably looked at some tape and studied these guys. What are your impressions of 2 players, Mo Alley-Cox and Melvin Johnson?
Well, Mo is just, he's an animal in there. He reminds us of our Daniel Gomez, who unfortunately not going to be able to play. It's like he's guarding all 5 players at times, all over the floor. Physical presence in the paint, especially offensively and defensively, relentless worker. So we know we've got our hands full there. And then, Johnson is banged up as he was in the tournament, with 5 or 6 days to heal up. I'm sure he's going to be a lot closer to 100%, than that St. Joe's game and the semifinals game that we saw. He's a guy that can score at all 3 levels. Reminds me a little bit of a player we had at Montana that was a 3-time All-League guy, Kareem Jamar. Can shoot it, can get to the rim. good mid-range game. So two very, very talented players that we know, are going to be focal points, but, they're not the only two. They've got a lot of weapons out there.
We got a question on the middle, and then we'll go to the side.
Wayne, how you doing? At last check, you guys are one of the only higher seeds that aren't favored against your lower seed opponent. Has that given you guys a little more motivation, or is it just, not paying attention to it?
We haven't mentioned it. I'm sure our guys, as much time as they spend on social media, are well aware of it. But, VCU is a very, very good team. They were playing well until the injury to Johnson late. And I think maybe a little bit it has to do with the fact that, Trace is not going to be able to play this weekend. But, people thought that down the stretch, and we split that USC-UCLA trip, and we won the Arizona State game and competed with one of the hottest teams in the country in Cal without Trace. So we're a little more proven now. Without him, some other guys have really stepped up. So, that's a concern maybe for folks that are filling out their brackets and all that, and not a real concern to us.
We have a question on the aisle, and then we'll go to the front right there, and then we'll go back.
Wayne Temporell of the Richmond Times-Dispatch. What makes Olaf such a matchup problem for people?
His size. He's got great ball skills out on the perimeter. He can handle it, dribble handoff stuff, pick and pop, and shoots the ball. He hasn't had a great shooting year, but of late, especially, the last 4 or 5 games of the regular season, he was back to shooting close to 43, 44% from three. And he's a threat inside. If you want to try to guard him with a smaller guy, we can run some things to try to post him up. That's a part of his game he's really added in the last year or so. So look for Olaf, hopefully, to have some success in the paint when they're guarding him small, and when they go big against him, pulling him out. And if he's willing and able to do both of those things, it'll be a real benefit to us.
We got a question on the aisle, and then we'll go to the back.
Coach, unfortunately, like you said, your son is not going to be able to play this weekend, and I had the pleasure last year of spending about 5-6 days with the Georgia State team. Got some really touching stuff from Ron and RJ Hunter. As a dad, what is it like for you to be here in the tournament and your son is here with you and can't play?
Well, the first part of it, it's just special that we're here together. Our family's been so blessed with March Madness on both sides. My older daughter, Jocelyn, played at Stanford, went to 3 Final Fours. Ellie at Gonzaga, they made an incredible run to the Sweet 16 last year. So my son witnessed all that and the excitement. He chose Oregon State, obviously, to play for Dad, but really to try to help get us back here. And so to have that taken away as far as him playing on the floor, it's been tough. But the thing I'm probably most proud of is, we challenged him when he first went down to become a great cheerleader and a great towel waver. And we said, now that's the way you can positively impact this team. It is what it is. And he's bought into that. As a coach, it's hard because, he was one of our toughest guys, probably our highest IQ guy, was emerging as a leader out on the floor. And it was a long season as far as developing that. We butted heads a few times early. A few times I came home and there wasn't any, food in the oven. Mom had, gotten a little upset with me too. But the good thing is we fought through it early, and I told Trace the message was clear. You hold all the answers. I'm not being any harder on you than I am the next guy. You think I am, because it's the first time Dad's doing it in front of your peers. I'm the head coach now. Before it was just a parent angle. And I said, you've just got to fight through it and get tougher. You're a tough kid. And we went through a couple of things. He talked to Doug McDermott through some help from Greg, and then had a really big performance at Kansas. And I think from that point on, he understood, you got to grow up. He's thinking to himself, I've got to grow up. This isn't unfair. I just got to get tougher. Every new player, and especially every freshman, has a point where they're getting yelled at for the first time consistently. They're the best players on their high school team. Now they come in and they see themselves as grunts. And it's not that we're trying to be unruly or hard, but we knew this class we were going to have to depend on late, so we had to get them there quicker, so we were harder on them earlier in the year, and it's neat that they've come through. But anyway, I've gone on from what you've asked, but I think there's a little bit of information there on kind of where we've arrived as far as the fathers and the sons on this team, and we're in a good place. Trace is confident that hopefully this isn't the last time we'll be here, and he'll be able to share in some of this joy as a player moving forward.
Question on the rear.
Kyle Frederiksen with the Oklahoman. Coach, over these past 2 years, how do you think Gary's been able to thrive even with the pressure of playing in his famous father's footsteps?
Well, you know, he's such a laid-back individual that I don't think he sees that pressure, doesn't feel it. He's very confident in himself, in you know, really to see it from point A till now. When we got him, his father said very honestly he wasn't sure he was even a Pac-12 player. And now he's become two-time Defensive Player of the Year, the only one ever, I think, and you know, has done so many positive things for us. So it's neat to see that progression and, you know, the buy-in to working with us, accepting coaching, and then taking, you know, what he's done back home with his father and their trainers in the off season, and really kind of combining that with the messages we're sending to get to where he is. And we know what he does out on the floor as far as the statistics go, but the leadership he's provided that young group especially has been outstanding and is a big part of why we played our best at the end of the year.
Further questions for Coach? All right, Coach, I believe they
Thanks,
let you
John.
off
Go
early.
Beavs.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.